When knighthood was in flower, knights carried the sword to defend their God, their church, their country, and their fellow man, according to the code of chivalry. Sir Knights wear the regalia to carry the sword today to honor Christ and his apostles, to encourage active Catholic citizenship, and foster the spirit of patriotism in members and the community. The Color Corps competition was designed to challenge each assembly's units. The Color Corps who has mastered these techniques adds dignity and pride to civic and religious ceremonies of the church and the country. Each Color Corps team will consist of a Color Corps commander and 6 Color Corps members. The Color Corps is judged on 4 areas. The senior judge evaluates the Color Corps commander. The inspection judge evaluates the physical appearance of the Color Corps commander and the other members of the Color Corps. The manual of the sword judge will look at the handling of the sword by each member, including the Color Corps commander. The marching and church judge evaluates the marching movement as well as the synchronized movement in the church portion of the competition. Official dress of the competition is strictly enforced and evaluated based on the directions of the Color Corps drill manual. At the start of the competition, the district marshal will request the Color Corps commander by name to report to the master.
Color Corps commander of Color Corps assemblies, fall in.
The Color Corps commander must come to attention, draw his sword, and come to a carry sword position. The commander will then march to the designated area where the master is. He will accomplish a left or right flank movement and stop directly in front of the master with approximately a 6-pace distance between him and the master.
Randy Sotella, commander of the Commander's Assembly, reporting as requested, sir.
The Color Corps commander will salute the master by presenting swords and then report to the master.
Assemble your team.
The master will return the salute and request the commander to assemble his Color Corps. The commander will execute an about face and order his unit to fall in.
Commander's Assembly, fall in.
The commander will then return sword using normal interval and come to attention. When the unit hears the command to fall in, it will walk in column formation from the designated assembly area and will form up in front and center of the Color Corps commander. The unit will then come to an immediate dress-right dress with the number 1 man in both columns. The commander will then call for open ranks march.
Open ranks, march.
The Color Corps will then perform a uniform opening of the ranks. The front row takes 2 steps, about 30 inches, while the rear rank stands fast. When the unit is ready for inspection, the commander will do an about face and report to the master or inspecting judge that the unit is ready for inspection, sir.
Ready for inspection, sir.
The master or the inspection judge will evaluate the Color Corps commander first, then each member of the unit. He will look at the overall appearance and compliance with the official dress regalia of the 4th degree Color Corps. This will be as per Section 7 of the official dress regalia for the Color Corps. During the inspection, the commander will accompany the inspecting judge. He will follow the marshal if he also accompanies the master during the inspection. The commander will remain slightly behind and to the left of the inspection judge. The master, who in this case is the inspecting judge, will review the front and the back of each rank using a right to left movement. He will also evaluate the regalia for uniformity and compliance with the Color Corps drill manual. If the master stops in front of an individual, that Color Corps member will bring his hands to the glove inspection position. The hands and forearms will be parallel to the ground, wrists straight up, with the fingers and thumbs straight and held together. You need to hold the position for 2 to 3 seconds and then rotate the hands to the palms down position for inspection of the back of the gloves. Then rotate the hands back to the palms up position. Afterwards, lower the hands to the sides, turning the palms inward. The whole maneuver must be done in a crisp 4-count movement. During the inspection, the master may ask a question of any member. The member should answer in a courteous fashion. At the end of the inspection, the master will return to his position with the marshal. The master will then give the commander the instructions to carry on. When the commander receives the instructions to carry on, he performs an about-face movement and directs as well as accompanies his color corps to execute the sword drill at normal interval.
Proceed with the drill.
Draw. Forward.
When the unit performs the drill, they must make sure they are in unison, their heads are straight and erect, eyes forward, and no unnecessary body movement during the entire drill. Remember, uniformity and crispness is required for this drill.
Ready. Rest. Attention. Turn. Sword.
At the end of the drill, the commander will call for a close ranks. The front rank remains still or stands fast. The second rank takes 2 full steps forward. The color corps commander will then call for a right face and draw swords. The unit will turn to the direction of march. The color corps commander will center to the left of his unit. He will then call for a forward march.
Forward. March.
The color corps will then be evaluated on uniform movement and accurate alignment of formation. The color corps commander will continue to march his unit to the quiet area. The quiet area is the next designated stop point. This is where the simulated church drill takes place. From this point on, the commands given by the color corps commander are all silent or visual commands. All sword movement in the quiet area and simulated church drill must be accomplished using close interval direction. The unit must keep their heads straight and erect, eyes forward, and no unnecessary body movement during the entirety of this drill. When the color corps has reached the quiet area, the commander repositions himself in front and center to his unit prior to his next command. The color corps handles the sword in the same manner as during the drill. Next, the commander issues a silent or visual command to forward march. The color corps then enters a simulated church area. The commander will lead his color corps into the front of the simulated church. There, the unit will halt in their place. The commander will do an about face. Then the color corps will perform a left-right face movement so that they are all facing the center of the aisle. The color corps will take a half step back as to simulate stepping backwards in between the pews. The commander will then step back into the line and, using the silent or visual command, have the unit present swords. The unit will remain in the present sword position for a period of time as to simulate the arch for the procession of the clergy. Next, the commander will come to the carry sword position and take a step forward, at which time the color corps will simultaneously come to carry sword. The color corps commander will then perform a right face, take a step toward the altar, which is the signal for the unit to fall in behind the commander. The commander will then take a step forward, perform a right face, followed by the 2 columns of the color corps unit. They will turn towards their respective sides and march to the rear of the church, stopping at their respective pews. The Color Corps commander will then give a silent or visual command to return swords. Then, upon a silent or visual command, the unit will march into their respective pews from the sides. Once all members are in their positions in the pews, the commander will give the silent or visual command to remove their chapeaus. The chapeau is removed with the right hand, with the right arm bent slightly. The chapeau will be placed in front of the right side of the chest, given a silent pause, then placed over the left breast area. The commander will then give the silent or visual command to sit down in the pews. While sitting, the unit will hold their scabbards with their left hands at the upper band and guide their sword across their lap. The foot of the scabbard must be placed over the right leg at 45 degrees to the member's body. Once the unit is seated, the commander will give the silent or visual command to place the chapeau on the lap. The next phase of the competition is to demonstrate the proper execution of retiring from the church. The Color Corps commander will give the silent or visual command to retire from the church. When the command is given, the unit must all stand. Again, the commander will give the silent or visual command to return chapeaus. The commander will then step out of the pew and into the center of the aisle. The Color Corps will follow and fall behind the commander in 2 lines. The commander will then give the silent or visual command to forward march to the front pew and halt. The commander will then do an about face. At the same time, the unit will perform a left-right face movement so as to face the center of the aisle. The commander will then provide the silent or visual command to draw swords and to present swords. The Color Corps commander will then march between the ranks to exit the simulated church. As he passes each pair of members of the unit, each pair will return to carry swords position, take a step forward, halt, and then perform a left-right facing movement. That puts them facing the exit or back of the simulated church. They will then march between the 2 ranks of the Color Corps and follow the commander out of the church. Each pair of Color Corps members perform this maneuver and continue to march out of the church. When the Color Corps reaches the designated stop area outside the simulated church, the commander will give the command to form an arch for the recession outside the church. The commander will give the command for the unit to present swords, and the unit will hold this position for a period of time as to simulate the arch for the recession of the clergy. After the commander has determined a significant time has passed, he gives the command to carry swords.
Carry swords.
The commander will then give the command for the unit to perform a right-left face and close ranks. The commander will then reposition himself to the left of the unit to provide leadership. The command will be given to forward march, and he will take his unit for review past the master and the dignitaries.
Forward march. Column left march.
The Color Corps commander will direct his column left movement as required, marching his Color Corps unit in review before the master and his dignitaries. The Color Corps will render courtesy to the district master and his dignitaries by executing an eyes right command as the unit passes in review. The preparation and execution command for this movement is given on the right foot. When the commander calls for the eyes right command, he is located on the left and centered of the unit. The commander will present swords and his head turned at 45 degrees. There should be no other sword movement by any of the other members of the Color Corps, just the Color Corps commander. The right marching column should maintain their head and eyes facing forward. The left marching column will execute a 45-degree turn of the head and eyes to the right. When the unit has passed the reviewing area, the commander will issue the command to ready front. The preparation and execution of the commands are given on the left foot. When the command is given, the Color Corps commander will return his head forward and bring his sword to the carry sword position. The left marching column will execute a 45-degree shift of the head and eyes back to the front. The commander will then continue marching his unit back to the assembly area. When the unit reaches the assembly area, the commander will direct the Color Corps to halt. Then return swords using close interval and dismiss the unit. At that point, the Color Corps unit should remain in the immediate assembly area for final group assembly. In order